All right, let's chat all about the Arnold Clark Cup. England winning the Arnold Clark Cup for the second consecutive year in a row. Its second year in existence, undefeated. There's only one Arnold Clark champion, and it is the Lionesses. Let's chat all about it. The
Well,
second,
Arnold Clark is a car company, right?
no, it is a used car company.
Thank you for the clarification,
Yes.
Sandra. That's why we have you here to double check anything that randomly comes out of my mouth.
Look, I was thinking about it, and I was just like, is there like an American like comparison that we can try to you know give to our listeners, and perhaps
Auto lenders?
maybe like auto lender, or like even maybe like CarMax, perhaps,
Hmm.
like or
Carvana? What's the ones that's like car elevators? Is that Carvana?
is that Carvana? Oh God, could you imagine the Carvana Cup? That's wild. Anyway, Arnold Clark Cup. England Lioness is winning this one, and in triumphant fashion, entering the final match day. Belgium, really excited about that team. When we were going through the preview of Arnold Clark Cup initially, we talked a little bit about the four teams that were going to be involved in this tournament. Obvious that England were going to be the favorites in this one. We both agreed on that. We were looking for South Korea to maybe come out here and kind of be the X factor. But kudos to Belgium for running this tournament, and really going out there and
Mhm.
playing spoiler essentially,
Yeah.
and having a good tournament that led all the way up to a final match day scenario where it was kind of like a winner takes all kind of energy in this one. And because of that, it's almost like England said, we are going to really put a stamp on it and put this one away. 6-1 the score line in this final match against Belgium. I mean, England, best team in the
Holy.
world right now, Lisa. What do you think?
I am incredibly impressed with England right now. I think that, yeah, dubbing them best team in the world right now might be, it's not too far of a stretch by any means. Just considering what this team has done, the consistency that they've been on over the last year, even last 6 months, winning the Euros and then this Arnold Clark Cup. They didn't just win the Arnold Clark Cup. They dominated and destroyed. When you look at the score lines, right? Opening day, it was 4-0 win for England over South Korea. Then they concede a goal on the second match day to Italy, but they still win 2-1. They also conceded against Belgium and in the final match day. And holy cow, what a screamer of a goal. But
Yeah.
they score 6 goals in this final match against Belgium, and they end up winning 6-1. 12 goals in 3 games for this English side. Unbelievable. They get one shutout. They concede 2 goals. I think what Serena Wigman, the manager with the Lionesses right now, is doing is creating this culture of uh, undeniable confidence and like in a pressureless system and situation for this team, which is allowing them to succeed as much as they are. I mean, you look at, they've got a lot of young players coming into this roster as well. They're dealing with injury. They've had to rotate some players in. And you've got a Lauren James who's earning her 8th cap in the start against Belgium in this final. Heck yeah, Lauren James. I want to watch this player play week in and week out. Good thing you can. But it is so fun to watch this England team right now.
I love the shot there. Listen, you could catch Women's Super League games on CBS Sports platforms, whether it's CBS Sports Network or the Women's Super League. So make sure you tune in and check out the schedule. Lauren James, one of the players that we were really excited about leading into this World Cup. I think in the preview, I labeled her as England's most like exciting player right now, and you could sort of see that reflected in some of these games. I felt like the energy coming out of these stadiums, like every time Lauren James was on the ball, took a touch or took a shot, like you could just like feel the enthusiasm from the crowd around this player. And it's just so wild to sort of just think that she's only got, X amount of caps in
8.
her career for right
Yeah.
now. Thank you, 8. But great to see her kind of having this resurgence kind of post injury. She's had to navigate some things through her career, and it's also great to see that transition right from club
I
play
agree.
to international stage. to see that there's no real lapse in
And
that
she's
player like her.
21 years old. She is 21 years old, incredibly young. Yeah, I mean, England really going on a tear. And we talked about this with Ireland a little bit. The year that these nations had in 2022, I think really started to be the buildup, right? Because at the start of 2022, every nation knew, okay, we've got the World Cup in 1 year. What are we going to do? England went undefeated throughout 2022 in their competition, right? They beat the United States 2-1. Everyone that's a US fan remembers that game very, very well in London. But this is a team that's now continued to be undefeated since their World Cup qualifying in April of last year. This is a team that's going on run after run. They're also putting up incredible score lines, right? We talked about the 12 goals that they just had in this Arnold Clark Cup, but when you look back at their 2022, they had a couple 10-0 score lines. Yeah, one against North Macedonia, one against Luxembourg, but
Yeah.
I don't think like the Americans have done that too, but I think it's the way that England is doing it, right? They've got a lot of balanced scoring. They've got really impressive mindset. They've got this gritty blue collar work rate about this English side that is kind of like we've got a chip on our shoulder to prove the world wrong, that we are the best in the world. And honestly, watching this Arnold Clark Cup, I was like pretty jazzed, a little nervous for the World Cup.
I mean, they're playing with swag right now, man.
Totally.
And
That's
that's
it.
really, I mean, that's really, it's so cool to see, honestly, because this is an England program that has had talent on it for numerous cycles at this point. And you could just sort of, it's a really good example of what having the right coach at the right time
Yeah.
can do for a
Yep.
program. And watching these players thrive under Serena Wigman and really respond to her rotations as well, I think is really, really cool. Sometimes when you try to mix things up, it could, ruffle feathers in the locker room. But I think it's important to
They're all
know that
bought
within
in. They're all
they're all,
bought
they're all bought
into what
in, and
she's
it's
doing.
important to know within each of these games that it's great that you mentioned balanced goal scoring, because the different goal scores in each of these games, I think, is also what stands out to me. Even if it's that first game against South Korea, whether Stanway, Kelly, Russo, James, all like 4 different goal scorers for each of the 4 goals against that opening match in South Korea. Rachel Daly, the lone goal scorer against Italy in the 2-1 score line there, and then you've got this massive score line 6-1 against Belgium, where it's Williamson with a couple of goals. Kelly gets on the board with a couple of goals again. They force an own goal, and Lucy Bronze joins the party as well. So it's like that is also just so strong when
So
you're
strong.
looking at this England team moving forward. It's like, yes, are you? Can you look at some of the top teams right now and pluck out certain storylines? Yes, you can. One of those with the United States is the fact that Mallory Swanson is on this incredible goal scoring tear right now, right? Mallory Swanson, 1 of 1. And then you're looking at this tournament in Arnold Clark Cup, and you're looking at everybody joining the goal scoring party. It's impressive.
It is so impressive. I mean, yeah, the balance scoring for sure, but also if you go back and watch plug for Attacking Third YouTube right now, because we have all the Arnold Clark Cup highlights. Watch those highlights of England versus Belgium, because yes, there were 6 goal scorers. Yes, there was a lot of different goal scorers actually in that game for England, but the quality of the goals and the variety of how the goals were scored were very impressive. Crosses coming in from the box, and they even forced an own goal for Belgium. And heading into the halftime, it was 2-0 for England going up, and they end up getting 4 more in the second half, one of those being forced an own goal, and they also give up a goal, but a really well-deserved goal to give up. Like, kudos to Belgium for knocking that screamer down. I also think it's important to give a shout out to the Belgian goalkeeper, Nikki Evard, who was in this match, because this player played lights out. Holy cow, 6 saves for Nikki during this game, as she, by like the 40th minute, the 50th minute, she was like covered in grass stains. Her jersey was completely destroyed with how much effort she was putting out, how many acrobatic saves she was being forced to make that England was forcing her to make. I think it was really impressive to watch that side of it too. I mean, for her to, yeah, you let up 6 goals and that's not great, especially one of them being an own goal, but it very easily could have been like 8 or 9.
It's hard. It's hard. It's tough to think about, really. The scoreline's already as lopsided as it is, and then to sort of imagine that it could actually have been 7 or 8 or 9
Mhm.
at some point. But England, honestly, this was just a reminder, I think, of who they are and what they can be
Yeah.
in the World Cup. For the other teams, I think a great showing for Belgium. I would like to sort of see where they go next with this. I think they've got great young pieces and good talent, but they are not World Cup bound. So it's going to be
Mhm.
interesting to see how they continue to navigate not just the remaining international windows this year, but really this next duration of the cycle moving forward. They have to make sure that they don't lose pace, right, with what they've kind
Exactly.
of started to build with this team. Italy and South Korea, two teams that are going to the World Cup. South Korea struggled in this match. Maybe a big part of it was due to the fact that there's a lot of players in preseason form.
Mhm.
But I think they're going to take a lot away from this and try to wrap things up a little bit differently in those April windows. See how they perform after they get a little bit more soccer under their
W
legs.
I mean,
Um,
for Italy, this yeah, it's a team going to the World Cup. They're playing Colombia in this April friendly, but when you look at the group that Italy is in for the World Cup, oof, Argentina, Sweden,
yeah,
South Africa. That's rough. They start off playing Argentina on the 24th, and then July 29th, they play Sweden. That's just,
yeah, it's not
it's
an
going to be
easy
tough.
schedule.
It's going to be an uphill battle for Italy in the World
Yeah,
Cup.
for sure. But it was great. It was great to have the Arnold Clark Cup make its return and visit. We'll see them again, and I'm sure England will, be favorites once more. Congratulations to the Lionesses for reminding everyone who they are. We'll keep an eye on their April window as well. They are going to, I think, face off against. I don't remember at this moment. I'm so sorry. I know a lot of teams right now are announcing their April windows. I know we talked about United States and Ireland, and then we chatted a little bit about Australia, and then we chatted a little bit about France and Canada.
England is going to play against Brazil and Australia.
Yikes, yikerton. Australia one game, and then Brazil one game. Yeah, you'll
Yeah.
love to see it.
Yikes.
I'm curious as to what that scoreline is going to look like. If they're ending off Arnold Clark Cup 6-1 against Belgium, I'm a little curious of what that's going to look like or could look like against an Australian side.